Let's continue the conversation with coaches and programs. Florida Atlantic, FAU, the dream season continues with Dusty May. Dusty May seemingly coming out of nowhere. I know our Matt Norlander's done a feature piece on him. I know the Owls has certainly got a lot of pub. What makes this team and him as a coach special?
He has chosen to use speaking of substitutions, a substitution pattern that believes in 8, 9 guys. You know, that traditionally a coach wants to trim his rotation, wants to be able to limit it to just your starters and maybe 1 or 2 guys off the bench in the NCAA tournament. And Dusty May has stuck to the same formula that has led the Owls to 33 wins to this point with just 3 losses. You know, we call them the line changes, the hockey style substitutions. It is because he has faith in all of these different players. And by keeping bodies fresh, they can switch everything. They can be aggressive defensively. They are not a particularly big team, but because they play so much bigger, because they play with so much energy, enthusiasm, in part because of what they're able to do with limiting the wear and tear on the legs, it makes them a really tough team to beat. I think we saw that against Memphis, and I think we certainly saw that as they wore down FDU in the second round. And the other part that I think is a good call by Dusty May is when you're putting together this team, you've got about 4 guys that all shoot about 40% from 3-point range. You shoot a bunch of threes, you play at a fast tempo, you got multiple shooters, and you're always changing bodies in and out. It just creates a little bit of a hectic environment that a team can just watch a game get away. I mean, just go ask Memphis how quickly that game slipped away from them, and it was because the Owls were playing with that full court pressure. They got them flustered. They came up with the stop late, little bit of help on, some controversial calls, but they wouldn't have been in that position if it wasn't for Dusty May and the way the Owls play ball.
They were the best team in Conference USA, and Conference USA is having one heck of a postseason tournament, plural that is, with the tournament, the NIT, and the CBI collectively. All right, they're going up against Tennessee. Tennessee and the Vols took care of Duke, of course. Rick Barnes gets here, and they get here, Chip, with defense. And it's interesting because you think of Houston, you think of UCLA, which are great defensive teams, but the Vols are actually better than them, at least from a metrics perspective.
Yeah, number 1 in adjusted defensive efficiency with that performance against Duke. I think that you've got to look at the way some of these other pieces have really stepped up offensively with the absence of Zakai Ziegler, the starting point guard, who's not going to be there, because you can be the best defense in the entire country, but to win NCAA tournament games, you do need to go out there and get buckets. And man, they got that in a really big way against the Blue Devils. I think that there's something about the identity of this particular Tennessee team that raises its level of play against good teams. I did a deep dive on the Tennessee profile in the season as a whole. Some of its best performances have been against the best teams on the schedule, against the NCAA tournament teams, against teams that rank in the top 20, top 25 of the metrics. It has actually been a performance against, a Missouri. It's been a performance against Vanderbilt. It's been teams that are not elite where Tennessee ends up getting got. So when the lights get the brightest, this team, the 2023 Volunteers, they turn up their intensity, they turn up their focus, and I think that is what's led Rick Barnes and this Tennessee program to be able to shake some of that narrative that they're not a good tournament team. We should have seen it all along, Tommy. I didn't see it until after it was too late, but when they played against the best teams on the schedule, they turned in their best performances. So, of course, Tennessee is playing some of its best basketball here in the NCAA tournament.
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis, no yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.